Alright, so yesterday there was an update as to what's going on with Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney. So let's just get right to the article. A federal judge has signaled that Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm over her termination from The Mandalorian will be allowed to proceed as the court considers whether the First Amendment allows private companies to sever ties with employees who publicly clash with their values. And like I said previously, every business has a culture. And some people fit in, some people don't. And it just depends on how much of a disruptance an employee is having on said culture. Because I still truly believe that this isn't just Disney valuing, actual facts over disinformation. It's simply they probably, whether Pedro Pascal asks them to or not, I really do think that her view on trans people, his sister is trans. So, obviously, even though he says, oh yeah, we're friends and all that, I'm sure that makes him uncomfortable realizing that what this woman thinks of his sister. But anyway, let's continue. U.S. District Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett on Wednesday pushed back on arguments from Disney's lawyer Daniel Petrocelli, who argued that the lawsuit should be dismissed because the company has the right not to associate with a high-profile performer on a high-profile show who's imbuing the Star Wars series with views it disagrees with that could turn fans away from the show. That is an argument. Like I said, I don't know if it's a good argument. Like I said, if they said that they were doing this because Pedro Pascal's sister is trans and how that will affect him. Because obviously he's not going to feel comfortable being around somebody. Yes, I know he mostly did voiceovers and he wasn't on set much anyway. But just the potential that they could be in a scene together, which they were in scenes together. So even though he claimed in interviews that they're friends, claims that in public, were they really? So I think that's a better argument than, that she's creeping out her coworkers is a better argument than, oh, we just we're afraid that she'll turn away fans. Because when they first fired her, there was a big dust-up. People were very upset that she was fired. So, there are probably some people who won't watch a show because there's an actor on it who says despicable things. But, let's face it, I stopped having any association with anything Harry Potter. I don't play any Harry Potter games. I don't plan on watching the upcoming Warner Brothers series. Hopefully I can, have that self-control simply because of J.K. Rowling. Before I knew that she was so heavily transphobic, which I did a video on. I really think this woman needs therapy because she's just going really hardcore. But So there are people who will not watch a project based on who is associated with it, which I can see their argument. But unless they have proof of that, yeah, I can see why this is a little on shaky ground. Even if I might agree with them not agreeing with her value, with what she says and what she claims to value, I don't know. I really don't know if firing her was, or as the conservatives call it, canceled, because apparently you can't fire someone without their lives being horribly ruined forever. For people who are well off and will be just fine. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Petrocelli urged the court to find in favor of Disney on its First Amendment defense on dismissal rather than at a later stage of litigation after discovery takes place, in which it's determined whether the case should be allowed to proceed to trial. Wow, that was a complicated sentence, and I'm not sure I actually understood it. Other than, Disney wants the lawsuit dismissed. I'm not convinced there are no disputed facts, Judge Garnett responded. She pointed to allegations that Carano was terminated to deflect attention from Disney's contentious business decisions at the time, including the company's contract dispute with Scarlett Johansson. Oh yeah, I remember that one. And criticism of Florida's parental rights and education law, which led to the dissolution of its special tax district in the state. Are you seriously suggesting that Disney was like, oh, don't pay attention to the crap going on here. We're gonna, do this. Those were pretty big dust-ups, especially the Don't Say Gay bill. For those who are unaware, there was during the COVID pandemic, there were a bunch of movies that were supposed to be set for the big screen, like the Black Widow movie, that the powers that be decided to just stream on Max, which I think at the time was HBO Max. But anyway, so Scarlett Johansson's contract has a certain percentage of movie sales, but it doesn't say anything about streaming. So there was their big brouhaha about, from Scarlett Johansson, rightfully so, that she was basically getting screwed over by Warner Brothers for this decision. So that was brouhaha number one. The Don't Say Gay bill, this was actually a bigger issue than it should have been, and it was an unforced error on Disney's part, because before Bob Iger took back the reins of Disney, his previous, what was supposed to be his successor, decided that he was not going to take a stand on the Don't Say Gay bill. It wasn't until employees of his that threatened to walk out, because you do employ gay and lesbian and LGBT plus in general employees, and they didn't like that he wasn't having their backs. So suddenly there was an about face, and Disney decided to stand up against the Don't Say Gay bill. And so Ron DeSantis decided to try to make Disney's life miserable, as you do for the biggest employer in your state. And so, yes, they lost their special tax district. Which is odd, because he also wanted them to not take care of the Disney parks themselves, not have that as a special tax district. And it's like, won't Florida taxpayers foot the bill for that? But anyway, that was a big old brouhaha, and I don't think it's even resolved yet. I really don't. Anyway, the lawsuit revolves around allegations from Carano that she was wrongfully terminated and discriminated against when she was booted from the series for voicing right-wing opinions on social media. I'm not sure if it was just that she was voicing right-wing opinions. It was how she was voicing those opinions that was the problem. The former MMA fighter appeared on the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. She wasn't under contract to appear on the 3rd season or any other Disney production, according to court filings. Okay, so if she wasn't under contract, then technically she wasn't fired. So how can she claim that she was fired when she was never under contract to begin with? Alrighty. Her lawsuit's sounding dumber and dumber. Carano sued after Lucasfilm in 2021 announced that she wouldn't be returning to the series after sharing a post in which she said, "Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews." Okay, counterpoint, and I know I've said this before, anti-Semitism is a thing. And so finding a scapegoat like Jews, not that hard. It's not like somebody one day who, loved their Jewish neighbors all of a sudden turned on them. That's generally not what happened. It was people who tolerated Jews who then, fell under the influence. The post continued, "How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? And the difference is you choose your political views. Nobody chooses their ethnicity, because people, especially in the 1930s, knew you were Jewish based on your last name, because it was a specific type of name, because it's an ethnicity, not just a religion. Political views, you choose those. I mean, could it be influenced by your parents? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, based on your personal experience, you get to make your own decisions. So, no. And not to mention, it is so horrible towards actual victims of the Holocaust to think that just because you spout hate for a group of people, which ironically right-wingers do, but then they claim that they're like the Jews in the Holocaust. It's like, dude, the Jews in the Holocaust weren't the ones who picked a scapegoat. You're the ones who are hating on a certain group of people just because you find them icky. So, no, there's so many reasons why you're not the Jews in this analogy. And to say that you are is complete disrespect to actual Jews who died in the Holocaust. Anyway, she advanced claims that Disney violated California labor laws prohibiting employers from directing workers' political activity and reprimanding employees on the basis of political speech. Now, if all she did was vomit out her right-wing views, great. But she attacked Holocaust survivors. That was a line too far. And like I said, she's also said transphobic shit. So, but I'm pretty sure this is what they keep harping on, so I'm assuming it's this. But like I said, they really should point out that, oh, and by the way, she hates trans people, and we have an actor on the show whose sister is trans, and we just didn't want to make him uncomfortable. That would somehow make a better argument than this. But like I said, if it's true that the labor laws prohibit employers from directing workers' political activity, which they did not do, nobody said that she's not allowed to be political, and reprimanding employees on the basis of political speech. How is comparing yourself to a Jew? How is that political speech? If you could point out what you said, like, I hate trans people, okay, well, we can't ding you on the political speech, but Pedro Pascal might have a problem with having to work with you because his sister is trans. So that would be a way out. How is this political speech? You're shitting on Holocaust survivors. You are seriously shitting on a Holocaust survivor. At Wednesday's hearing, Jean Scher, a lawyer for the actress, stressed that the comments at issue in this case were made from Carano's personal social media accounts. Why should that matter? I mean, I am definitely, pro. You should be able to say whatever shit you want on your personal social media. But again, you compared yourself to Jews in the Holocaust. That is not political speech. That is just complete stupidity. And of course they don't, look at what's happening with Israel and Gaza. And if anyone even remotely cares about the Palestinians, then some people think, oh, you must be anti-Israel because you actually care about human beings regardless of their ethnicity. So there are some people who are very sensitive about you doing anything that looks like that you're anti-Semitic. So, yeah. Let's see. Nothing she said was on the show or on set. He said, as Carano said, the defense table in the courtroom. Now, I also agree that this is a sticky situation. This whole thing is a sticky situation, really. Is that, should you be dinged for your social media? And really, even before social media, if people saw you in private doing or saying something really, really dumb and bigoted, they could take it to your employer. This is not a social media invention. It's not something that this never happened before social media thing. No, it happened. It was just harder to do because, you had to see the person in person. But that thing happened. So, yeah, that may not matter, at least according to Disney. The company claimed that there are broad liberties afforded to private speakers and what viewpoints they choose and don't choose to express. In a case dealing with free speech rights, the Supreme Court held that organizers of a parade had a constitutional right not to include in the event a group seeking to express a message that they didn't want to convey. The organizer's decision to exclude a message it did not like fell within its rights as a private speaker to shape its expression by speaking on one subject by remaining silent, the court found. This concerns me because, this goes into the fact that Gina did not say this on the show. I mean, yes, she's an actress on on The Mandalorian, but are people in reasonable people going to hear her crap that she vomits out on social media and say, huh, I bet everybody on that show is like that. I'm not going to watch. Are we really, is that really the argument you want to have? Because as much as I don't like what she says, I don't, of course, what she's asking for is equally ridiculous, but still. I just don't know if if that's saying what they think it does. I mean, yes, you shouldn't be forced to accept a message in an organization that you don't like, but you're comparing an event, so public speaking, where people can carry banners and they make their own banners. This is a show where she speaks lines that you tell her to. You know, she's not improvising. And if she does, you can stop that. So, again, it's better to go with the, we have people on set, or we have people that she comes into contact with who don't feel comfortable because of her views, you know, because she shits on trans people or whatever. Yeah, that would probably be easier to accept than this. Disney argued there's a First Amendment right to choose employees who properly convey their values even when those choices would otherwise violate state anti-discrimination laws. And I have seen job descriptions where one of the descriptions is that you advocate, that you are a representative of that organization even outside of work hours. So basically, you cannot say or do anything that that whatever business you'd be working for would not like. Which, ew. I mean, if you want to do that, that's great. But to be forced to do that, to not have views of your own that fall outside of whatever organization you work for, let's see, where did I leave off? It cited the Supreme Court in Boy Scouts of America versus Dale, finding that the organization's decision to fire an openly gay assistant scoutmaster is protected under the Constitution. That constitutional right, the court concluded, shields the Scouts from violations of New Jersey's discrimination laws. Okay, that's closer. That's closer to what they're trying to express, because obviously, you know, just because he's openly gay, he's not technically spreading a message through his words, except for the fact that he's openly gay. So, even though you do have to open your mouth in order to express that, so I don't know. Under those two cases, Disney said that the state can't force employers engaged in expressive activity, in Disney's case, movies and TV shows, to convey its message through speakers like Carano, who allegedly impair its ability to properly express its values, which it said includes respect, integrity, and inclusion. The First Amendment, it claimed, entitles it to protect its speech in the Star Wars series from association with views that it and many viewers considered offensive and contrary to its message. This goes back to people not being able to tell the difference. I mean, she's not... Yes, she's on social media saying this crap, but who's gonna think that people other people from Star Wars agree with it. It's not, but it's not like J.K. Rowling, who people are running away from Harry Potter. Actually, I'm hearing in the series that Warner Brothers wanted to do, basically a reboot of the movies, but as a TV series of Harry Potter, that the actors don't want to work with her because they know that she's so hardcore transphobic. And I don't know, it's not like the creative forces are expressing these horrible views. She just works there. So yes, like I said, there are good reasons to fire her. I just don't think this is that reason. But it's nice to know that they're using bigots arguments against them. That's fun. The messenger is part of the message, Petrocelli said. He posited, imagine she made comments that she hates Jews or that there was no Holocaust. She's not that far away. I mean, she's comparing. Now, granted, in the Holocaust, there were political dissidents. Hitler did put his political enemies in the concentration camps too. It wasn't just Jews. But the fact is, she picked Jews. If she had pointed out that political dissidents were put in concentration camps, that would at least be still, I would say no, but that would still be a better analogy than Jews. So the fact that she used Jews, either it's because she's too dumb to know that it wasn't just Jews in the Holocaust, or it's because she's also anti-Semitic. So just because she didn't say specifically she hates Jews, I wonder. But no, she did not say there was no Holocaust. And still, unless you have people who work there who feel uncomfortable with those views, because I'm sure that a company as big as Disney does employ Jews, or anybody who is in the Holocaust or had a family member who's a Holocaust survivor or whatever. Again, that would be a good reason to give her the boot, not because she said the stupid thing. In response to Disney's focus on the Supreme Court's ruling in Dale, Scherer said that free speech rights can't be used as a shield against violations of discrimination laws, and that the ruling in the case was based on a fully developed factual record, not at the motion to dismiss stage. Well, I can't say anything about that one. That's procedural, no clue. He underscored Disney's First Amendment defense cannot allow it to short-circuit the normal litigation process. Discovery will reveal whether the company violated state civil rights laws when it terminated Carano, he added. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Garnett replied. Carano's backers include Elon Musk, who's helping fund the lawsuit through X. And ironically, he said that he would do this for anyone who are having lawsuits because of an offensive tweet. This particular thing was on Instagram. So he said he would foot the legal bill for users who claim they have been discriminated against due to their activity on the platform. And like I just said, this particular post that they are referencing is actually on Instagram. It was not on Twitter. So yeah, Elon Musk is just chomping at the bit because he's such a free speech warrior For those who don't know, he likes free speech as long as it's speech he likes. The moment you say something he doesn't like, yeah, suddenly he's not so much a free speech warrior. Anyway, I should say free speech absolutist. That's what he considers himself. Yeah, so that's the latest on the Carano lawsuit. It's possible that she might win this lawsuit. Based on what I read, it's entirely possible. But, I doubt that the judge will force Disney to rehire her. Because you might be able to prove that her firing which wasn't actually a firing because her contract was up. It was just a non-renewal of contract. So she might be right on the merits, but, on the First Amendment thing. But the fact is, her contract was up. They do not have to give her a reason. I don't know. I think Florida is a right-to-work state. Oh, wait, this was considered California. I don't think California is a right-to-work state, so maybe... But, her contract was up. It's not like they breached contract or something. So, I don't know. I really don't know about this one. All I know is that there's no way that the judge is going to force Disney to rehire her. Because it's one thing to say, yeah, you were terminated unlawfully. It's entirely another to say, yeah, you were terminated unlawfully, so now the company has to rehire you, even if they have, nothing for you. I mean, first off, why would you want to work for a company that fired you unlawfully, in your view, and in the court's view? Why would you want to work there? I mean, I know why she wants to. Obviously, her career tanked after she got fired from The Mandalorian. Apparently, the Daily Wire didn't pay the way Disney did. But the fact remains that why would you want to work there? Find another job. That's what most people do when they're fired. They find another job that fits them better. But anyway, I believe I've covered this video as much as I could. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.